It's a breezy autumnal day in October today. And the garden's pretty much at its peak. We're not going to get a lot more growth out of the plants now, and soon it will be time to start thinking about overwintering them and looking after them when the temperatures drop. As you can see, my border is really full now, and it's a good time to take stock and see what's growing where. To make a note of it, especially for the springtime when I do get tempted to put more in. Now it's about making sure that everything has the space to meet its full potential. You may have seen that I did a 3-part summer garden tour where I shared with you the colour growing in the garden, the large leaves, the tall structures and the trees. All that's left really is to share with you now the filler plants that I use to create this full border that I have. The majority of them are deciduous, fast growing and will reach quite a height and spread in one single season. I'll show you my favourite 5. So number 1 on my list is definitely my favourite filler this year, which is the Amicia Zygomeris with these inverted heart-shaped leaflets. It is just gorgeous. It's very unusual in that it has the leaves. It also has these purple keels that grow on the stem. They're not flowers and they're not leaves either. We've also got these pea-like yellow flowers that come out quite late in the season as well. So in addition to these gorgeous leaves, there's so much more to look at, and it's fast growing. I bought it as a really small plant in the spring. It's got quite a spread as well, and I have kept this pruned. They can get to about 2 or 3 meters tall in a single season. And I quite like the way that it's weaved itself through the Euphorbia Melifera there. It's so pretty, fast growing, really filled that space up, and I can depend on that to come up each year. Number 2 is the Melianthus Major. I know that I've mentioned this plant before in my other garden tour, looking at the large leaves, but I simply must mention it here as a filler. I bought this as a tiny plant in the spring, and it has just shot up in this season. And it's still pushing out new leaves as well. Those serrated edges, if you have a look at the base, it's grown on quite a thick stem. Can you see that? And it's made its way out here to get the light, and it's just created a beauty in that space. So the Melianthus Major is on my list of favourite fillers, and that will die down very soon, but it will come back again next year, bigger and better, no doubt. Number 3 needs no introduction. It's the Persecaria Red Dragon. Now this has gone absolutely crazy this year. If I lift the camera above my tree fern, you'll see that it's grown really tall as well. I do normally control it and cut it down, but I've let it do its thing. Very, very easy to propagate. You literally pull up a root, shove it in the ground, and it'll grow wherever you stick it. And that's exactly what I did over here, where it's also going pretty wild. I think I've got a little tiny piece over here as well, where I literally just shoved a root into the ground and off it goes. So for some burgundy around the garden, those chevron leaves to break up the green, I highly recommend Persecaria Red Dragon. As you can see, it flowers as well. It has these dainty little white flowers. So number 4 is this Aucuba Japonica, or the Japanese laurel. You'll find this pretty much at any garden centre. And with its green leaves and yellow speckles, it fits beautifully into my tropical planting scheme. It's evergreen, so you can trust on it giving some interest all year round, and it's really easy to grow. So if you'd like to spot that around the garden, or perhaps use it for some hedging, I highly recommend it. So number 5 is a plant I mentioned earlier, the Euphorbia Melifera. Now, although this looks like a shrub right now, it will eventually grow quite tall, and I will be able to skin the bottom in order to use it as a bit of a canopy plant. But whilst it is in this state, growing outwards, it's really filled this spot beautifully. So as you'll see, it's growing quite densely here. It's not leggy at all, and that's to do with where I have it planted. It gets partial shade here, so it's quite happy there to grow quite full. So as a result of that, it just makes a beautiful filler for this border. So to summarise, my favourite fillers are the Amicia Zygomeris, the Melianthus Major, Persecaria Red Dragon, the Aucuba Japonica, and Euphorbia Melifera. What fillers do you grow in your garden? That's it for this one. Hope to be back soon when the overwintering will begin.